Good evening. Governor Scott Walker has insisted day after day that his budget repair bill is about saving money and not about union busting. But in a phone conversation with a man he believed to be billionaire David Koch, Walker let down his guard and said it.
This is about public sector unions. You essentially are having taxpayers' money be used to pay to lobby for spending more of taxpayers' money. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The phone call was a prank. Ian Murphy, the prank caller and editor-in-chief of the BuffaloBeast.com, will join us shortly from Buffalo. It is not just what Walker said about unions that has excited the governor's critics. It is his staff's desperate eagerness to put a man who said he was Koch on with their boss without feeling any need to check if it actually was Mr. Koch. That seems to put another check mark in the column of bought and paid for by Koch Industries. Koch Industries was the second largest contributor to Walker's gubernatorial campaign, giving $43,000, the maximum allowed. The Koch-backed Americans for Prosperity funded last week's counter-protests, and its president told the New York Times that Americans for Prosperity was working to encourage a union showdown even before Walker was inaugurated. And Americans for Prosperity has launched the Stand with Walker website, which encourages every state to adopt Walker's so-called common sense reforms on unions. Tonight, another state is on the list. An Oklahoma House committee tonight approved repeal of collective bargaining for state workers. But back to the phone call. Mr. Murphy's quest began when he wondered if anyone could get Governor Walker to take a call after reading that some of the Democratic state senators couldn't get a call returned. So he worked on a voice, worked up a story, and called the office.
Hi, it's Scott Walker.
Scott, David Koch, how are you?
Hey, David. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm very well. A little disheartened by the situation there, but what's the latest?
We're actually hanging pretty tough.
The two exchanged niceties about Governor Walker's strategies for getting Wisconsin 14 to return to the state to vote. Walker stresses that he will not budge, he will not negotiate, and when asked about if this movement is spreading, he can't help but pat himself on the back.
Brian, the new governor over in Nevada, called me last night and said he was out in the Lincoln Day circuit the last 2 weekends, and he was kidding me. He's new as well as me. He said, Scott, don't come to Nevada because I'd be afraid you'd beat me running for governor. That's all they want to talk about is, what are you doing to help the governor in Wisconsin? You know, the next question, I talk to Kasich every day. You know, John's got to stand firm in Ohio. I think we can do the same thing with Rick Scott in Florida. I think Snyder, if he got a little more support, probably could do that in Michigan. I mean, you start going down the list, you know, a lot of us, there's a lot of us new governors who got elected to do something big.
You're the first domino.
Yep. This is our moment.
And now for his moment. Joining me now is Ian Murphy, editor-in-chief of the BuffaloBeast.com and the most important phone caller of the day. Ian, walk me through this. You call the office. Why didn't they say to you, we'll take a number and we will call you back? I mean, that's the standard procedure when an office like this is receiving a call from someone who might be important, but in order to find out that that's who it really is, they have to call back.
Right. Well, the second call I did make, the chief of staff did ask for my number so they could call me back. But seeing as I was using Skype, that was impossible. So I made up this story on the spot about my maid, Maria, who had accidentally washed my phone. And so now I was calling from the void, I said. I was using the void and the snipe. And amazingly, he just said, sure, that sounds totally believable. And so he gave me the time to call back, and I called back later and got right to the governor.
And the governor seemed very comfortable and eager to talk to you. Were you surprised that it went as smoothly as it did? And I mean, when you're on the phone, did you think he's gonna, in the next sentence, he's gonna catch me? I'm not gonna be able to keep pulling this off.
No, just getting on the line with him was a feat in itself, I think, and I think he's just oblivious, generally. So it didn't surprise me.
And so as the call got going, you were confident that this thing was going to work. There was just about nothing you could say that would tip it.
Basically, yeah.
And you drew him into criticizing this network. He had some harsh things to say about MSNBC.
Yeah. Well, not Joe Scarborough. He's one of us.
Well, he was on Morning Joe, and he said he thought he was treated fairly on Morning Joe. But you also pulled him along in directions about what this fight is about. When you came out of this conversation, why do you think now, after this conversation, why do you think this governor is not going along with the agreement that exists thus far? The union's willing to make all the financial concessions he's asked for. Why do you think he's hanging in there and holding on to the provisions that would, in effect, destroy the union's ability to negotiate?
Profit for himself and his people he associates with.
And do you get the feeling that he's ready if this goes the way he wants it to, if he wins this? Did you come out of it with the feeling that, as John Podhoretz said today in his column, that he should run for president? If he pulls this off and wins it all the way, he should immediately set off and seize the Republican nomination for president?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he should. Go for it.
Did you feel the Reagan comparison he was giving for himself was the way he now sees himself?
Yeah, I felt that comparison deep down. It really rang true, especially considering Reagan was just pretty much out of his mind.
Ian Murphy, my phone answerers have been warned. They will not be taking any calls from any Buffalo numbers without calling back, checking out who it really is. Ian Murphy, editor-in-chief of BuffaloBeast.com, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.